Welcome, everyone, to the fifth installment of our webinar series on Indigenous Women Chefs. I am Mindy Kurzer. I am chair of the planning committee of the annual Conference on Native American Nutrition. And as you all know, this year, because of the pandemic, we haven't been able to meet in person. And so we've hosted a series of webinars. And today will be the fifth one in the series on women Indigenous chefs, as I said. We will be having the fifth conference in person in May of 2022. So a year from now, we will be holding the conference. And I haven't signed the contract yet, but we're going to be signing it in the next couple of weeks. So it is going to be a for sure thing. And we will send out an email to everyone letting you know, confirming the date and the time. So today we are delighted to have as our guest chef, Crystal Wahpepah, who is an enrolled member of the Kickapoo Nation of Oklahoma. She was born and raised alongside a multi-tribal community in Oakland, California, where she learned ancestral foodways, as well as the formalities of running her own catering and food business. She is the first Native chef to appear on the Food Network. Chopped is the television program that some of you may watch. Crystal's passion to create food by honoring the origins and land of each ingredient, as well as cultivating connections to Indigenous farmers and land stewards, makes her a unique game changer in the food industry. One of her clients says, "I take my time eating this because I know where it comes from." Watch the horizon closely for Crystal and Wahpepah's kitchen as she takes ancestral foodways and brings them to the forefront with laughter, joy, playfulness, honor, respect, gratitude, reciprocity, and collaboration. We also have Elena Terry, Chef Elena Terry today as the commentator. Elena is a member of the Ho-Chunk Nation and the executive chef and founder of Blueberries, a nonprofit community outreach catering organization. She is also the Food and Culinary Program Coordinator for the Native American Food Sovereignty Alliance. As a seed-to-table chef, Elena advocates highly for Indigenous and organic growers and producers. She utilizes her partnerships with the Intertribal Agriculture Council, the University of Wisconsin, several tribal farms, and her own farm to provide and preserve ancestral ingredients in her community. Elena started as a traditional and ceremonial cook, is a wild game specialist, and prefers open fire outdoor cooking. However, she is also a trained chef and loves to challenge herself in executing multi-course plated meals. Welcome today to Chef Crystal and Chef Elena. And I want to remind everybody that if you have any questions, we are going to have about 15 minutes at the end. That will be a dedicated Q&A section. But in addition, if you have any questions during the presentation, please post them in the Q&A section, and we will ask them of Chef Crystal during the demo. So again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, chefs, and I'm going to turn it over to Crystal.
Well, thank you. Well, I just want to say it's such an honor just to be representing women Indigenous chefs. I just came into May and I just thought to myself, okay, I'm definitely going to make some salmon, even though it's not my people's food because I'm Kickapoo, but we have a lot of venison. We eat a lot of venison and things like that. But I thought, the more than anything, for me personally, I love salmon. And actually, the salmon that I had for a while, this is a coho salmon. And what I'm going to do is actually a watercress salad. And that's what I'm going to just kind of put everything together and kind of go and just talk about the ingredients and why I choose these ingredients to make the salad. And for me personally, I love berries. And if anybody ever had my food, they had a lot of different kind of berries in the food. And so personally, I just got these berries just from a couple that actually grows these strawberries, and I couldn't believe how big they are. You see that? Isn't that gorgeous? And then also, I just have a little blueberries and I have blackberries. And I thought, okay, let's just go ahead and do a watercress salad with the coho salmon, topped with the berries. And then also, I thought, this is one of my favorite things I use from Sitka Hills. This is the elderberry. It's a vinegar. So we're going to do a maple vinaigrette with a smoked cedar smoked salt on there. So that's from actually Sakari Farms. And then I have, of course, my flowers. I like to top it with the flowers, and we have these little baby, I guess you would be baby violas on there. We're gonna put that on there, and then we're just gonna top with mint. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and put it all together and just talk about each ingredients and talk about the reason why I love berries, reason why I love salads, and just kind of offer something that is really good in May. Anybody can make it. Anybody can actually source it. You can go to a lot of farmers markets. You could grow it yourself, prefer just to grow it yourself. And that's the fun part, is actually harvesting it yourself and making a salad into that. And so I'll talk more about that one. But then first, I would like to say thank you, Elena, for talking and being here. And any questions you have, you're more than welcome to ask.
Crystal, I was so looking forward to today, to be able to watch you cook and to see your food. The only thing is that I'm not right there with you to have lunch afterwards.
I have to make it up to you then.
Yes. So I did have a question for you, and I'm super excited. Years ago, salmon wasn't my favorite, because in the Midwest here, like what you were saying, salmon is not fresh. It doesn't taste the same. I mean, I grew up eating salmon out of a can, and it's so different. But being where you're at, and one of the things I love about your cooking is like the freshest of ingredients, and being able to have such high quality, so easily accessible, of some of these, incredible ingredients like the salmon, the watercress. Tell me a little bit about your watercress.
Okay, so for this watercress, actually, I go to a farm. I go to a farm. It's not too far from here, and I have all these beautiful relationships with people that grow things. And so I see this is one of the first things that I seen, and then I end up grabbing it. If you're not really familiar with watercress, and it actually grows all over, and right now it's pretty much in its peak. It can start like early, maybe in March, all the way up until now. But I like when it peaks, because the flavor it's more, you can taste it more. The more it's not fresh, and the more it's not ready to be harvested, you can taste the bitterness, and then the flavor will get more gentle to your palate. And so me personally, I go for what I see, and then I taste, and then I'm like, okay, we can work together. But this is one of the salads that I've liked doing, and I'm going to give it a little close up just in case if anybody doesn't know what watercress is. You see, isn't that pretty?
And you said it does get bitter, but like right here now, it's incredible to get by a fresh spring. If you know fresh spring where there's watercress, you're like, oh, yeah, it's so amazing. But it does transform. It changes to a like deeper peppery flavor, and as it gets a little bit more mature, that flavor gets to be very strong. So
yeah, like for this one, it's really mild, but the earlier it is, when it's a little bitty baby, that's what I call it, the more you taste it, the more you're like, okay, you're not ready yet, but this one is just gentle to the palate. And so what I'm going to do, since I have my stove on right now, I'm going to go ahead and what I did is I went to go ahead and cut a little coho salmon, which this is pretty much one of my favorite salmons to do. But because one, it's all natural. And then two, I left the skin on. The reason why I left the skin on, so it can stay together. And this is what we're gonna do right before we're gonna top it on. So I'm gonna go ahead and cook this right here while we're talking. And then at the same time, I'm gonna take it off from the pan and let it cool down, because at the same time we have our watercress, we have our berries, and I don't want it to wilt. And what I mean by that, you don't want it to shock each other. You're gonna, with the foods, they talk to each other, they communicate with each other. So sometimes if you get too hot, it ain't gonna go, it's not gonna work.
Some
And
salads like that way. Some salads like it to wilt, but for this one, you want it to be cold so that the berries and the watercress don't get affected.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want it to, especially with the salmon, because the salmon's going to be too hot. So it's okay if it touches the berries and things like that. But for me, I like to have it all in neutral. And so all of them can say, hey, what's going on? You know, and they can talk to each other. And this is what Indigenous foods do. They talk to each other and they speak to each other because they vibe the same, because they're from the same era. You know what I mean? And so what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to get some olive oil and just tack a little bit of olive oil, not a lot. And then I have some of the Cedar smoked salt. And this, what I like about this, I normally don't cook with a lot of cedar, but what I like about this, it has this smoky taste, and it has this, you can just, if you guys don't have this at home, I highly recommend you guys getting this. And it has just a gentle smoke taste to it. And so I'm just going to add this onto the salmon on both sides. And then I'm going to lay this down. And I'm going to show you guys in a minute how I'm doing this, just in case if nobody doesn't know how to cook a salmon. But I have it, what I have right here, see how I have it down? The reason why I cook it down this way is because it's going to tighten up, and then I'm going to flip it over, okay? And so at the same time, while I have this going, I have electric stove. I really wish I had a gas stove, but I have electric. And so on the electric, I'm cooking this on number 3, okay?
Is that
And
in a
then,
cast iron? Crystal, did you have that in a cast iron skillet?
yes, I love, I'm an oldie but goodie, so I'm a cast iron person. I believe it's already flavored. I believe it adds really awesome flavor. I really try to go for a lot of cast iron and a lot of heavy equipment that when I cook with, it's because that's just the way I was raised. and plus we're getting, if I want to take it to a campfire, I'm ready. And it's more healthy. It's good iron for you. I always taught that at a young age. You know, it feeds like natural iron. And so what I'm doing right here at the same time as I'm cooking the salmon, I'm cooking it face down first with the cedar salt, okay, with a little olive oil. I have, see my plate? I have a little white plate. So at the same time, what I'm going to do is gradually going to layer everything. And sometimes people just want to put salad together and throw this and throw that. Yeah, you can. But also at the same time, we want to cook in moderation. We want to know exactly where these come from. The reason why I do a lot of berries. I love berries. They're colorful, they're pretty, they're indigenous, and also it reminds me a lot as I was growing up. I grew up here, born and raised here in Northern California, but also one of my fondest memories is with my aunties over in Wahpepah on the Wahpepah reservation. And this is where I encounter a lot of, when I would go swimming in the river, I would have salmon nick my legs and nick my body. And it was just so natural to swim with salmon and eel, you know, and at the same time, I would go pick a lot of berries. And that was probably much of the happiest time in my life. And the reason why I'm an Indigenous chef. This is one of the reasons why, because I love berries. I love just the memories of it. And sometimes when we eat things, it just triggers that palate. You know, it brings back really fond memories. And this is one of the way I love to pay tribute to one whose land I'm living on right now, and the other of course, I have this little white corn that I'm gonna add, and I'll tell you a little story about that. I just got back from Oklahoma, which was really nice. And so this is, I guess you can say the salad will be how I vision indigenous food and how I put everything together. And it's very tasty, I must say.
It's beautiful. I love that. Even the things that you chose, I mean, when people ask about indigenous ingredients, you kind of look at where you're getting them from and get the, flavors from that area. And so the watercress being by fresh water
Yes.
and the berries being, I kind of picture the scene of where you would get those ingredients.
Oh, well, actually, I can tell you, like, I live in an urban area, if anybody's ever been to Oakland, California, but our native community is huge. And I love people, gardeners, people that grow things. So anytime I have an opportunity to actually help out and go and actually harvest, I love those. Like just recently, I just went over into Sonoma County, and I was just so blown away of how nice and how beautiful people can be to other people, knowing, what do you want me to grow for you? For instance, I have a brother, his name is Felipe. He is in Katati, and actually he's growing my squash. He's been growing my squash for a long time. And beautiful, beautiful Hubbard squash. We have Lakota squash, we have butternut, we have all these different squashes. But at the same time, it was about a week ago, actually, and they invited me over, and I got to look and actually see native blackberries getting ready to sprout, a lot of pecan trees, and those kind of things. So when you're in an urban area, sometimes you can get out of place. What does that mean? That means you just got to really, to me, my connection is with food. My connection is with the land. My connection is with how it grows, where it comes from, and how it tastes, number one. And put it together on the plate and let people know that we're still here. Even though this is not where my tribe is from. My tribe is from, of course, Oklahoma. My grandfather grew up in McLeod, Oklahoma. But also at the same time, I always have respect, and I always pay tribute when I think about my grandfather, when I think about my aunties. I have a lot of family all over. And so I always like coming together and putting it on one plate and let people taste it. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that one up. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this filet over really quick, and it's nice and brown. I don't know if you can see it. The reason why I got it really nice and brown and I have it on number 3, because I'm looking for this crispiness. See this little crispiness, and then all the juices can go back in there. And so at the same time as I'm talking, they're like, "Woman, are you going to make this salad?" And so I have this watercress, and you know how you see how it's kind of like this, but what I'm going to do is tear off the leaves, because you want to make it where you want to lay it down. Also, it's very pretty, but then you also want to do it where you want to eat it with a fork. Then you can even eat it with your hands, however you see it. But you don't want to waste any of it. But how I'm breaking it apart, I'm just kind of laying it down.
Crystal, there's a question.
Yes.
How much salmon would you use for this salad, or how much would you use per portion, or how do you judge that for?
Oh yeah, definitely go to 4 to 6 ounces, or even if you go to a market, or it depends if you have your fresh salmon, but just do about 4 to 6 ounces. You just need about this much, or it depends how big your hand is, and go half. It depends how you want to measure it, but that's what I have. I just end up going to 4 to 6 ounces. And that's a good amount. I wouldn't go any more, because that's like a little overly amount, but you wanted to keep it even. So 4 to 6 ounces, that's what I'm saying.
For someone like me, who's an empty nester now, all of a sudden, I might use the size of the salmon fillet that I have accessible, and then chill it, right? Because you're chilling it to make a cold salad.
Mm-hmm.
Use it again, because it's hard for me to get a little piece of salmon that's like
Yeah, and so for 4 to 6 ounces, actually the cooking time would be about 8 minutes. You can say 4 minutes on each side. It all kind of depends. If you have a gas stove, that would probably cook a little bit more faster, but I have electric, and then it's on an iron skillet. So this is how this one works for me. All stoves are different. You can't really judge it the same. Sometimes that's the only, you know how people say, for instance, well, you cook it on this degrees and you put it for this many minutes, but each person's stove, this is a lot where people are not really familiar with cooking. Each person's stove is different. And so, and each stove I go to, I can go to my kitchen stove, which I love because it's gas and I can get the job done. But when you have electric, and it's a little kind of tricky, and you got to really get to know it. A lot of people don't really get, if they're not really really cooks, they don't really get to know their stove, but actually your stove can do a lot. Actually, your stove is pretty much your best friend. So sometimes you gotta clean it up, be nice, you know? And so as I laid this watercress down, and you can see it's so pretty. I'm gonna have to take pictures after, you guys. This is look really, really, really pretty. Something about watercress that I love, I think it's the little pea leaves that we have on here. You see? Isn't that pretty?
I think all the food you do is so beautiful. But you know, you eat with your eyes, and seeing it and seeing the excitement of the way the colors go together. I mean, I know I'm already picturing hopefully what you're going to be doing with this salad, but you always have these incredible like flavor bursts that are also colorful, and they just make the plate really pop. I think I don't know, you might be known for doing that, for plating.
Well, I'm really known like for the berries. On the berry part, I have a freezer full of berries, and actually we just finished the Indigenous Red Market, so I got to pull out those berries so we can get ready and start harvesting again, and I can put them back into the freezer. You know, my children call me a berry hoarder. Is there such thing? But I love them, and I love with my berries where they come from. And you know, I help harvest, or people would say, hey, I have all these elderberries, can I drive down and give them to you, or black chokeberries, or choke cherries, you know. And I'm so honored that people from all over actually want to give me berries. That's an honor right there. I love that.
Your kids are you know, you should be like, don't you blaspheme in here.
Yeah, that's right. These are my berries. And so what I have right here is just a watercress laying down, and I broke it where I can eat it with a fork. And then from there, this is something that I just found yesterday. I had I was in Berkeley, and this is called a Berkeley bow. And I just so happened, I said, you know what, I'm gonna go to Berkeley bow and see what they got going on. But I end up coming out, actually I ended up just walking out just with lime. I thought I was gonna come out with more, but but a real unique lime. And actually I need to read more about this, but have you ever heard of pink lime? I know. And so what I did last night, I was so fascinated by it because of the colors. And I'm going to show you what it looks like inside. Can you kind of see? A little pink. It's pink lime. I'm going to have to bring you one. Actually, I'll bring you a couple, okay? And I think it's pretty cool. But besides that part, I thought that was kind of groovy. And so what I did last night, I got all of the things that are on the top on the salad. And so I ended up cutting this pink lime. You can just get a regular lime if you want. You don't have to do the pink lime like me. But I just thought this was pretty fascinating. And then I end up getting my maple. This is my favorite maple right here. I end up getting my maple, and I end up cooking it down and actually reducing it. And then I end up putting the slice of lime inside of it, and then I end up just kind of caramelizing it inside the maple, and then I end up putting it in the refrigerator, only because I wanted to I thought it was really pretty and it looks really shiny, and plus maple and lime goes together. Try it. And then so I did that last night just because I wanted to top this on the salad. but at the same time, I end up just got back from Oklahoma, which was really nice to go back and have that connection with my homeland and my connection with my family and things like that. And anytime I always go back to Oklahoma, I always bring back a whole bunch of stuff. And then well, this one that I have actually, my aunt had gave it to me. It's just a white corn, and I brought back like pearl hominy. I brought back a whole bunch of stuff, like some dried deer, a whole bunch of stuff. And but this one right here, I love this, just how it popped. And so I just kind of pre-cooked that before. And this is what we're going to top on our salad. So we have the watercress, okay? At the same time, like I just showed you, I have the pink lemon, well, pink lime, sorry. And then I end up coating it with some maple, put it in the refrigerator and take it back out. So at the same time, I'm gonna go ahead and just slice these strawberries. And then with the strawberries, they're like about 4 miles from me. And there's this indigenous couple. I always try to go and support indigenous farmers and go to farmers markets and support indigenous business owners. And this couple, oh, they're so sweet. And I actually, they got my number and I got their number, and I always call and say, what do you got? And so they end up having these beautiful strawberries. And so we're in strawberry season right now, and it depends on any Native American culture. We always celebrate the strawberries, and we celebrate the berries when it's berry season. And to me, when I see berries, I see a new season. And when I see that on a plate, that means there's different times. Just like for instance, we're in December, January, February. Of course, we have the harvest foods with the soups, but then we go into spring and then into summer. And so that right there, to me, it just screams out, yeah. You know, for me personally, just because I love the color and I love the taste of it. And I think sometimes if we can be a little bit out of whack, if we see like strawberries, blackberries, or blueberries in the wintertime, that kind of, I don't know about that. I always try to harvest and freeze them. So anytime you see that, and this is also a good tip for everyone too. When it's if you have farmers markets, or if you're growing, for instance, always try to harvest and freeze it. Only if you guys can see my freezer. And
I have a question about that, Crystal. Can you recommend some ways to use or prepare frozen blueberries? Like, are there any tricks? Because I know that with the hydration levels and when you freeze it, and sometimes it's a little bit runnier, and some things you want that for. So what would your recommendation be?
My recommendation, what I do when I get I just end up using last week for the red market, and using my last blueberries that we end up having. With the blueberries, they can kind of get a little wilty, but also at the same time, you can use it as a tea. You can put it in your stew, for instance, and you can actually make a berry compote wherever you want with it, but you'll have those same freshness as when, it will still stay fresh, basically. And you can know what season it is, because sometimes if you ever go into a grocery store, or if you see something that is not in season and you eat it, it's really bland. It's not even alive to your palate. And then it also, to me personally, I was always taught it affects us how we eat. If you eat in season, it affects us. Our emotions, how the weather is, just different things like that. But that's me. You want to just kind of eat in season. It's more healthy, just not emotionally, but mentally, physically,
Yeah. I had one more technical question for you.
Okay.
So when you were talking about candying the citrus, could you tell us a little bit about the pith and how you can prevent that bitterness from overtaking your dish?
Okay, you're talking about my pink limes? Okay, so with the pink limes, or any lime, it just tastes like a lime, basically. And so when I did that, I got the syrup and I cooked it, right? You probably can go, if you had a thermometer, to maybe 245, where it gets really nice and thick and hot. And then at the same time, I end up cutting it and patting it dried. And then I end up just tossing it in there and then taking it out very quickly and then putting it on wax paper. And I let it set for a little while. I didn't automatically just stick it in the refrigerator, because if you just automatically put it in the refrigerator, it'll get all watery and it'll start to get a little slimy. And so I just end up, even if you have a little fan, you can cool it down with the fan where it can kind of caramelize on there, even if you have to do it 2 times. So is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and that like just underneath the zest where it gets bitter if you
Yes.
if you don't care for that, right? So you totally
Yeah. And so that's why right when I put it inside of the maple, when the maple's nice and thick, and you take it out and you automatically just stick it on a wax paper. And like I mentioned before, you can get a fan. I'm telling you, one of those little bitty baby fans, it really works. And you can just totally put it on there and it would kind of dry it really kind of seal it, I guess. A maple seal. Ooh, okay. Like a maple, like a maple seal. So it kind of seals it. And then from there, I just left it out for about an hour. And then that's where it was sealed really good, because if not, that's where the bitterness comes from, and that little when you taste it, And so I didn't want to do I don't really play too much with the white sugars. And so I play a lot with the maple sugars and agave. And, sometimes they can be a little challenging. And, but I like that. I like a challenge. And so that's where sometimes if you have to do it 2 times, but this time it really did really good. And because sometimes you can get limes and they're really dry inside. And so that might work for you. But this one right here was nice and juicy. And then, so it was really nice and juicy. So I just stuck that out and it came out really good. And so right before I went to bed, I just ended up putting it in my refrigerator on the low rack, not on the high. I put it on the low because like I mentioned before, we all know our stoves. You got to know your refrigerator too.
For sure. Can you show us what the salmon looks like right now, Crystal?
Yes, actually. And so I turned it off. Remember I said I cooked it? Can you see? And I turned it off, and it's actually cooling down. And then what I'm doing is cutting up my strawberries as I'm talking. And I just slice them up. You can slice them up however you like. I like slicing them like in a little big kind of slice way. And I'm going to show you what I just did. And what I'm doing is with the watercress, I am layering it. So we have the watercress underneath, we have the strawberry on top, okay? And with this one, I just did 2 strawberries because my strawberries were so big. But if you want the average strawberry, it'll probably be 4 strawberries. But I have humongous strawberries, so I did 2, okay? And then at the same time, when I said I'm layering everything, I'm kind of putting everything side up. Can you kind of see how I did that? And then from there, I got just a little few blueberries. If you got some wild blueberries and get to pick them, oh, I love that. But in this case, I didn't. I wish. Okay. And then I'm just kind of throwing little blueberries right here. I'm just doing around 6 or 7. It all kind of depends how your palate is. You want more berries, put more berries. You want less berries, but also at the same time, these blueberries right here are just a little bit tart. I like the sweet kind, but these are just a little bit tart, so they're not like all the way ready. But if you get the wild blueberries, which is pretty awesome, and I know this awesome lady that does sell some really awesome wild blueberries, and they're like this tiny, and they're amazing. So I just kind of layered everything down. And then how I do the salad, yes, you can put all different kind of fruits and you can toss it, but I always layer it. And the reason why I layer it, because sometimes the fruit can be really heavy and it can fall to the bottom. And you don't want that. Like I said, we eat with our eyes. I definitely do. And then what I have right here, I just have I'm going to put around 4 blackberries. And then at the same time with my blackberries, I'm just going to kind of put them on the side here, just kind of spread them apart, just like I did the blueberries and just like I did the strawberries. You don't have to go for a lot, okay? And also at the same time, I have the white corn, and I'm just gonna reach just for a little handful because with my leftovers right here, I'm actually gonna make, I love soup. I don't care how hot it is, I will eat soup. And then I'm just kind of putting down the soup. I'm putting down the corn. And it looks really, really pretty, you guys. And it's gonna taste good. See? Isn't that gorgeous?
It's a really nice textural component to it also.
Yes. And because you're gonna have all these, different indigenous ingredients coming together, and they're going to speak to each other. You're going to have, I guess you can say, a little fall meeting a little spring up into the summer, so you're going to have all three of them. They're all going to talk to each other, and just like how we eat in these little waves, like I think it's pretty cool. And plus this salad really says who I am. How can a salad say who you are? It says, these are the things that I like to enjoy. These are the things I like to celebrate, And so all at the same time, I'm gonna grab our salmon. And then our salmon right here is a little, you see how it's a little stiff, but it all came back together really great. I'm just gonna, you can lay it down however you want. You can crumble it up, but I'm gonna lay mine down, okay? And then all at the same time, of course, I have these limes, the pink limes, I might add. And then I'm just gonna kind of put it on the side. And I just like the lime personally. But the reason why I have this lime is because I have this elderberry vinegar. And I'm gonna make this all together, put it aside, and then I'm just gonna swirl it on top, okay? And with it, I am gonna add, we'll say about 3 tablespoons. Not a lot. And then the same thing is gonna go with the maple. I can eye things out. And so, but if you, I can eye shot really good.
Crystal, I love that you are using American Indian Foods producers products. And the things is you really talk about supporting others that, supporting economically and using your voice as a chef to be able to purchase and to utilize these small crafted batch, like unique ingredients. But you're also part of the American Indian Foods program, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Tell me more.
Yes, I am. Yeah, it's really good to have those relationships, especially if me being as Indigenous chefs and all of us supporting each other. Without them, oh my goodness, where would I be? I love that how, well, like this is probably one of the first thing I was using long time ago from Sitka Hills, and I got it as a gift from my aunt. I was like, I like that. But also at the same time, I just remember a lot being young, and we would travel to Oklahoma, or my grandmother would come out here and visit, and she would bring all these ingredients. So it's really nice to see Native American food producers actually making it more accessible for all of us to get, especially if I'm way over here in California and if they're way over there in Oklahoma. And it's always really good, especially me having a catering business, it's always good to source. And I always try to source locally and source from other Indigenous people, because we all need to support each other, and my food wouldn't be that good.
I mean, it's great. And you're part of this incredible, network that really doesn't only go out to share, but to help educate and to provide incredibly unique, products that there's a lot of care put into that.
Yes, there is.
We're talking about it the other day when I was asked, I got to interview you about your bars the other day, and I loved the conversation. if anybody wants to know, they can look at the American Indian Foods website, and then there's a directory of producers and how you can get their products and stuff. But we were talking about how you have to make pivots, especially
Mhm.
as a single mother, as
Mhm.
a chef in a pandemic, and
Mhm.
being able to really rethink everything and act immediately in a
Yes.
constant crisis mode. But for you, and I love this, and maybe you can share with them, what really resonated with me was how you said it was very healing in a time of crisis to be able to not only get the relationships that you had with the producers that you were able to contact and get like these massive amounts of things and support them economically in a time that they weren't able to really get their product out there, but also like the connection with the bars that you make, and um, how you kind of were like opened your eyes and there was an opportunity. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because I mean,
Oh,
I know we talked about it the other day, but I
yeah.
want everybody else to hear because it's so amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. Um, well, right before actually when the pandemic hit, I, got used to just catering all over the nation and doing huge caterings here in the Bay Area, but everything for everybody completely came to a halt and it stopped. And me try not to panic, me being a mother, me having a whole commercial kitchen to support. That's what I call it. I have to support that. And also, my business. And I just end up kind of just meditating at first and realizing, okay, creator, what do what are you saying? What are we doing here? And try not to panic. And all at the same time, of course, I was talking with one of my aunts. She has so much wisdom. And she said, everything you need is right here in front of you. And it didn't really click and generate in my mind, what is she talking about? At the same time, because, we're human. And I'm like, what is she talking about? So I'm driving home at the same time. And I have people growing things for me. I had just me buying a lot of stuff from American Indian food producers. And it just clicked to me about creating this wild rice maple amaranth bar. I played around with it and toyed around with it for a little bit. And, it actually, I end up calling before I wanted to put it out there. I end up testing it on my family, testing it on my friends, sending it to my chef friends, and all at the same time before I wanted to put it out there of like, please help support Wahpepah's Kitchen, but I wanted to actually, what am I going to make to help where people can support, because at the same time, you don't know what's going on. And when you work so hard and work every day for something. And so I end up just calling people that I buy like my blue corn from, people I buy my maple from. I end up on my wild rice, I end up calling them and talking with them and seeing if I create this, would they be able to help me and help supply. And they were more than willing, more than happy to help supply of my maple and things like that. And then I end up talking to people that were growing my flowers for me. I still wanted to support somehow, even though I was pretty much in dire need of support, but I wanted to support. And I was always taught it's better just to give and then worry about yourself. And so I just said, let's all work together. We can do this even in the pandemic. And then so I end up creating the Swaminati Wild Rice Bar. What's that mean? That means good energy in Kickapoo, like rock energy. And I end up creating this bar, and out of nowhere, tremendous support of this bar. It makes me want to cry till this day. This is how humble and grateful I am to my native community and to my native food producers that are actually helping me, because it saved my kitchen. Literally, it saved what I worked so hard to do. And and yes, those are material things, but also at the same time, it's something where that's my safe haven. That's my place where I create, and that's my place where I feed the community. That's a place where it goes more and more than that, just a place where I kind of figure out, how am I going to do this, up to the packaging, up to everything. And outrageous, I'm telling you, I never been felt so loved just from a bar. And so I end up creating 3 flavors of a bar. And so now we're on our 4th. And so that's how grateful I am to my Native community and the food producers out there that, we all can turn around and support each other.
And I love it because it's like, it's so healing, and it's really a wonderful source of strength. Like, I'm glad that you did it. I got to be a taste tester, and I really liked what you said just now. Like, you had to try it a few times. People think as a chef that you just have this idea and you can execute it. There's a lot of work that goes into developing a recipe, or I love how much thought you put into everything. Like, this needs something more, and this needs, I need this to do a little bit better, or, and being able to tweak those things. I mean, it's not only with the bars, but it's with every dish that you do. And I love that about you, that you have that, palate and the thought of, it's not quite what I want it to be. And you make the changes so that it gets to be this like appreciated bite of something.
No, exactly. It's not about just, Wahpepah's Kitchen, the bar. It's not, it wasn't about that. It was about, let's keep this wheel turning, what we started. Let's continue doing it, even though, I was scared to death, at the same, but if you're not scared, you shouldn't do it. If you go in not having that fear, don't do it, because that's not good. You got to have that fear, and you got to have that risk, and you got to take it, like for me, this is me personally. This is something I believe in. This is something that I can't see myself doing any else, So I would, do I recommend people to do that? Ooh, just make sure all your dots are crossed before you end up doing that. There was a lot of trial and a lot of error, but all at the same time, I value my chef family. I value the food producers. I value all their support. And to me, I'm a firm believer, if you don't have your community behind you and people supporting you, maybe you should think about doing something else. But I've been very, very blessed and very, very humble of just having all these people support me, and have people want to grow my squash blossoms, want to grow all these things, all these indigenous flowers for me. I love that. And that is such an awesome, amazing, humble feeling especially during the pandemic. I'm still fighting. What I mean by that, I'm still trying to stay afloat. I'm still trying to make sense of all of this. But then Creator, he has things for us in different times, different places, and I love what I do, and I love that. So if you're flowing, and I firmly believe that I'm flowing in the right way, the way I should. Now, I don't want to, sometimes people want to go from here to there. Just for me doing this for so many years, I know it doesn't go like that. It goes, whatever you put in, you get out. That's what I believe. And this is what I'm getting out. My salmon salad. Isn't that awesome? And so at the same time as we're talking, I have, we're going to, I like to eyeball things. So we just got 3 tablespoons of the elderberry vinaigrette. I got 3 tablespoons of the maple, and I have 3 tablespoons of the olive oil. So 3, 3, 3. Let's keep it to 3. Keep it an even number right there, which is really good. So 3 is my favorite number. This is really, really good. And so all at the same time, I have the smoked cedar salt, and to me, this is what really makes it. I'm just gonna put a teaspoon in there. And then at the same time, yes, we have our green lime, but when I found this pink lime, I'm just gonna do a little squeeze. And so when I do a little squeeze in it, I'm gonna say we had to go 1 tablespoon. Let's shoot for 1 tablespoon, okay? And so I'm mixing it all together. Oh, this is gonna be really good because what we have right here is actually, we have the blackberries, we have the blueberries, and we have the strawberries. And then we have the white corn, and then we have the salmon with the cedar salt. And then we have, of course, the pink lime. I'm gonna have to send you some pink lime. I'm telling you, it is really, really good. And it's
I'll
really
be
nice.
waiting for it. I want to
Yes,
try. I love going to Berkeley Bowl with you because I'm always like, you're like, come on, come on. And I'm always like,
yeah.
"Wait a second, I have to see all of the 37 varieties of mushrooms they have here right now.
Yes, if I didn't have an appointment, I would have probably been there about 2-3 hours. But I'm proud of myself. I was in there for 15 minutes. but
I
but
just
all
get my heart in that amount of time. I'd be like, hold on, Chris.
but all at the same time. So let's say before the pandemic, if you ever had to have a salad, you would get this one. Okay. And thank you. And then what? Huh?
I have a question, Crystal.
Yes.
Everybody, I always hear people talking about acid, you know, like, oh, it needs acid. And there are several ways that you added acid to the salad. There's also health benefits to acids and adding stuff like the vinegars to your meals. What does that do, adding acid?
Well, actually, it kind of wakes it up. It kind of makes it alive. And you have that little citry taste, because to me personally, if you didn't have the acid, I don't even think you would even try to call it a salad, huh? You got to have a really good dressing. So just for instance, you have a lot when you have some with vinegar, of course, but then when you just throw that little acid in there, what it does, it wakes it up and it livens it up, you know? And it's something that I believe with the maple, I believe with the elderberry vinegar, and I believe with the pink lime, all of them are talking to each other. And then I just throw a little salt in there just to kind of even that out, you know, because sometimes you can have overly acid in that taste and it's really bitter. And so it doesn't have a flavor. It only has one flavor, and that's like a bitter, soury kind of taste. And so when you throw that in there, for some reason it just kind of balances it out. I mean, that's my scientific version of it, and I'm pretty right too, because you know, I like to think I have a really good palate, especially when it comes to balancing different kind of flavors. And I love the part where you can taste all these and you can see if they go together. And so that's why I think a lot of us are chefs, because we love the taste. But the most is how these ingredients work very well. You know, if I remove, like for instance, I'll give you a little teaching on this one. So this dressing is phenomenal, but if I remove the maple, it will be just kind of, you know, it will be missing something. So the maple lives it up just like the acid. And so at the same time, I have the maple, I have the elderberry, I have the acid, and I have the cedar salt, and I have the olive oil mixing around in there, okay? So they already talk to each other. So they're already getting to know and vibing with each other right now. Okay. Now it's about them talking to the salmon, to the watercress, to the blackberries, also to the white corn and the blueberries. And all at the same time, I got to go. It's one of my favorite things to do. I like, it's called a top leaf farm. And when you come out and visit, Elena, I'm going to take you. And so it's a farm with all edible flowers. Ooh. Okay. And for me, you know, as me, I like to just provide beautiful indigenous foods with pretty flowers and things like that. But then these are not indigenous, but actually these are little violas. These are look really nice. They probably have another name for it, but some reason it really goes well with the blackberries. I'm a visual person. That's why I'm a chef. I'm a very, very much visual person. And so, but then also I'm a visual and I'm a tasteful person. I like to taste and I'm visual. But I thought, oh my goodness, these will go so perfect with my blackberries. And I'll show you in a minute what it looks like. And so this, if I had to serve you, this right here would definitely be a strawberry corn smoked cedar salt salmon salad. Isn't it gorgeous?
So good, Crystal. It looks, I'm like, oh man, I'm not there with you.
Yeah. And then, you know, sometimes when you see awesome dishes and you see them create awesome dishes, and it comes from here, you know? It comes from our heart, what we put down, where it comes from, and, you know, how we're going to eat it, how it tastes, you know, but everything for me personally, as an indigenous chef, it comes from here.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things that we talk about. And so now that you have your dish, if there's any questions, please post them in the Q&A section and I'll get to a couple of these. But I did want to ask you, like, I have my own question. It's, you know, we have talked about this as being mentors and really as how can we as female chefs rewrite the narrative of kitchen culture, of how we were taught to cook, and with that intention and that mindfulness and really being aware of what you're not only cooking but consuming and the feelings that you have. And I love cooking in the kitchen with you because we kind of have that understanding. But tell me a little bit more about like how you got that instilled in you. I know that we have talked a little bit about our grandmothers and how you said you have an aunties and stuff. How does that really resonate with you in making sure that I've never seen you in a kitchen and not feel that way and not be that way, even under stressful situations, you're from the heart. And so how do you keep that up with the obstacles we have sometimes in a kitchen culture?
Oh, wow. Well, I was taught at a very early age, and especially coming from a ceremonial background and coming from women and family that prepare everything, how you come in and how we're taught to come into the kitchen to cook. Because if I'm feeling ugly, or if I'm feeling I'm not good, if I'm feeling this way and that way, it's going to transfer to my food, and it's going to transfer to you that's eating my food. That's how I was raised, and that's how I believe. For instance, you know, I have 3 mentees, and I always tell them, you know, if I feel that little certain kind of energy, I always say, leave it at the door, go take a walk around the block. We're about to provide medicine. Basically, we're cooking, and you know, you want to have that good energy, because these have really good energy. They're alive. They're, well, you know, just think, all this is alive. And so when you see this, the salmon is swimming around. This was grown from Mother Earth. The corn, all this stuff is living. And so all at the same time, I believe that we have this certain energy. You know, people can call it whatever they want. I call it energy. You know, leave all that energy out the door. And when I'm under pressure, I normally take a walk around the block myself. You know, but at a very early age, right before I touch these foods, even right before this, even we have a Zoom, you know, for instance, we're not all together. I even have to say my prayers and meditate and realize, okay, why am I talking about this? Why am I doing this? We're all doing it for a reason. All of us has a job. And my job is to have people enjoy and look at indigenous foods and let them know whose land they're on. So I'm honoring the Ohlone land that I'm on. I'm honoring my grandmother. I'm honoring what I love the most is the blackberries. I'm honoring all these different things. And so when we cook for people, it's the same thing. You're honoring them. And so you don't want to honor them when you have a negative mindset, or, you know, yes, we all have our problems, but all at the same time, we're taught to put that all to the side. And then you're in the front lines when you're cooking for somebody, you know, it's the health and wellness of it, you know? And so, yeah, I put it all at the door. But do I pick it up when I get out? No, I don't, because all at the same time, I'm not just healing people, I'm healing myself.
Yeah, I love that. And we've had that conversation before, like because there's this big talk about food as medicine right now. And I love that we have the same perspective, and a couple of our other, you know, incredible confidants feel the same way, is that you can't duplicate that, because for me, the medicine is in the process.
Yes,
right?
it is.
The end result is
Mhm.
an enjoyable meal, I hope, right? But
Yes.
it's that being in that space is healing for you, and it's the connection and the vessel that food becomes, and the appreciation. And I just love that there's this incredible community that feels the same way.
That's right.
There's a lot. There's the people that focus on trauma, and there's an undeniable amount of trauma. That's
Mhm.
something that we've, you know, always lived with. But when you talk
Yes.
about healing, and you decide that you're going to shift, and this is going to be about what we can do to heal for the next generation, instead of carrying that extra, you know, it makes that dish look that much more enjoyable, and understanding you a little bit more. So thank you for, you know, sharing with us as much as you do. I have a couple questions from the question and answer section, Crystal, so get ready.
Okay, ask me.
Okay, so are you going to share the maple bar recipe?
Oh, to share my maple bar recipe? Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh, that was a personal question. Just kidding.
Oh, it was a personal. Okay.
Do you dehydrate or powder your berries? Have you ever done that?
Yes, actually, yes. I guess I would if I wasn't going to be an indigenous chef, I think I would have been some kind of scientist. But all at the same time, yeah, I do. I play around here and there. And what I've done recently is I tried. It didn't come out the way I wanted to, but it kind of came out together. I did choke cherries. And it was, you know, I did almost kind of like a leather, like a fruit leather, you know, like almost like a fruit leather, because I do have a dehydrator, and I'll play around here and there, but not as like I would like to. You know, I admire some chefs that do, you know, that's pretty cool. And I got some gifts of people that do it, but no, I'm more a freezer. Being honest.
Hey, can we get those shirts anywhere?
Yeah. Oh, yes. Well, we did have them online, but we actually just recently we sold out, and so we should be having them. What is this? Probably when I come back. In June. I think he said he's going to have them ready by the end of this month, but we're have to put them up. And yeah, we have all sizes. We even have pullovers.
All right. And then you said that, I just want to make sure, because there's a couple questions. You have the Zibi Mijawang maple syrup.
Yes.
Right? And then you have the Sakari Farms cedar smoke salt.
Yes.
And the
Thicket Hills
elderberry vinegar.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites, and actually I'm going to be visiting them pretty soon, and so I'm going to stock up. I've been very lucky here in the Bay. You know, you can find it in the stores here in the Bay.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for the questions, Crystal. We've
Oh,
been talking so much. I absolutely love conversations with you, and I miss you so much. It's good to see
oh,
your smiling face and to see you, doing the work that you love and enjoying it. And it really makes a big difference in health and in
oh,
the way
definite.
you live your life when you enjoy what you do. And I can
Mhm.
see it even through the
Ah,
Zoom computer screen.
even this little bitty screen right here. Okay.
I,
Thank,
I think
thank,
I see you. If
yeah.
everybody knew how technologically like illiterate we are, they would be really proud of us executing this today. But I love you. If there's ever anything I
Oh,
can
thank
to
you.
help support you, I look forward to being able to have salad like that with you next week. And
Oh, yeah. Maybe with some halibut, huh?
yeah, it looks good. And you know that
Yes.
if there's ever anything that people can do to support you, put it out there, and you have a huge, I'm one of your biggest fans. I'm always saying
Oh,
there are a lot of people that appreciate the work that you do. So keep up the good work, and thank you for having me be a part of this with you. I love you.
oh, yes. Thank you. And I love you too. And thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you everybody for tuning in. I'll turn it over to Mindy. Thank you.
Thanks
Yes.
so much, Elena and Crystal. This was a wonderful, wonderful presentation. And Crystal, that salad looks so gorgeous. I hope you will take a picture of it and
Oh,
send it to us, and we'll send it around to everybody because it is
oh,
just
yeah.
absolutely stunning. We might have to use it as an image in one of our image banks that we have. It's so gorgeous. So I'd
Oh,
like to thank
definitely.
both of you, Chef Elena Terry, Chef Crystal Wahpepah, for this wonderful, wonderful presentation filled with lots of interesting facts and beautiful food and great conversation. We appreciate it so much. I'd like to remind everybody that there is a survey that we ask you to fill out so that we get your feedback about this and we can improve and make sure that we're meeting everyone's needs. And also remind everyone that the next webinar is going to be on Tuesday, June 8th, and that will be with Chef Tanya Brandt, another wonderful, wonderful
Mhm,
female Indigenous chef.
mhm.
So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, chefs. It was a wonderful, wonderful
Oh,
presentation,
thank you.
and we hope to see you next month.
Okay.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.